take a moment, take a look up in the sky. Think about the blessings, all the blessings that you got. It's a great day to be alive.
Welcome to Faith in Sports. Hello, I'm your host, Rick Bowles, and my co-host is James Carnell. Faith in Sports will be highlighting coaches, student athletes, and all things SAGU athletics. SAGU is a Christian university located in the heart of Waxahachie, Texas, and our athletic program is part of the Sooner Athletic Conference in the NAIA. We are happy for one of our own alumni sponsoring this fun endeavor. VCR Now is a technology organization that can fulfill all your LED audio, video, lighting needs, whether at a sports stadium, arena, house of worship, or your business. So, James, your Dallas Cowboys laid an egg against the Washington Commanders a week or so ago. But
my Cowboys now.
Yeah, they're in the first round of the playoffs. So
I thought they were our Cowboys last week when they were winning.
I'm losing hope.
Oh, come on.
What do you feel about the chances of them tonight against the Buccaneers?
Actually, I'm going to be a homer all the way. I predict 24-21 Cowboys on top. I think it's going to come down to it.
Interesting. Just 3 minutes ago, you had it 24-17.
No, 24-21. 24-21.
He doesn't know what he wants.
I'm going to be 24-21 Cowboys on top.
So,
that's what
so
I'm
you
going for.
think that the game against Washington was a fluke? And they're going to magically just be ready for Tom Brady.
Wait. The Cowboys actually played Sunday? I didn't know they played that Sunday. I thought they were still at home. I saw some people out there with Cowboys jerseys on, but it did not look like professional football to me.
Man, it was crazy, wasn't it?
I was gone, so I set the game to record, and I was going to come back home and actually fast forward to the good parts. I got through the fourth quarter. There were no good parts, so trash that one.
No more of that.
No more of that one.
Well, here's my prediction. I'm going with Tampa Bay 27, Cowboys 24.
I think we got to get Coach Deal's input on this too.
Well, when we officially introduce him, we will.
Yeah.
Because we're paying him by the minute, so we have to be careful here.
We can't afford too much.
Our men's and women's basketball is continuing after a short break from competition. Our Lady Lions are under 500 at this point, and our men are over 500 in wins. James, what is this week's basketball schedule?
Well, men and women's basketball will be in action this coming Thursday and Saturday. Both away, but will be in conference play against Wayland Baptist University and then Oklahoma Panhandle State University. The next home games for both the men and women basketball will be Thursday, January the 26th, and that's going to be against the University of Science and Arts out of Chickasha, Oklahoma.
Chickasha?
Yeah. Chickasha.
See, I'm from Oklahoma.
Yeah, you would know that. You would know that. I'm from Missouri.
We won't go there.
If you're from there, you say Missouri. So I have pronunciation issues. Okay.
So, that's exciting to see what will happen.
Yeah, and besides basketball, we're in the middle of our indoor track season as well. We have athletes who are already making a difference. Montrell Blacknell has qualified for the NCCAA Indoor Championships in the high jump, triple jump, pole vault, and 60-meter hurdles.
Wow.
That tires me out just saying it.
I mean, how do you do all of that?
That's what I'm saying. I can't imagine doing all that's amazing. And then Keneal Cooper qualified in both the 400-meter and 200-meter. And Daisy Otwell qualified for the 3,000-meter. And Janiyah Pruitt qualified for the triple jump and the 60-meter dash. Wow.
So
that's pretty amazing.
I was the star athlete in high school.
Oh, no,
right?
But I'm sure you're going to tell us. Good.
So
go ahead.
So actually in elementary school.
Oh, that's how far we have to go back.
I did high jump. And I got a blue ribbon.
Yeah.
And then we also did hurdles.
Yes.
And I got a red ribbon. Aren't you impressed?
I am extremely impressed.
Then I got to high school.
Yes.
And decided I was going to try out for the 3,000. And then as I'm running around the neighborhood thinking I'm going to do this, I hurt my ankle. So as it is, track and field is not necessarily
You're gifting there.
No.
Hey, I'm telling you, I also did track and field, and I was 100 meters, and 200 and the 400, and I also did long jump, and I was the third best 100 meter guy.
Any ribbons?
Yeah, plenty of ribbons. Third best. There was a one or two in there, but I'm telling you, I had two guys on my team that were always, we were always neck and neck, and it was funny.
Well,
I was third best. I'm proud to admit it, third.
Well, I would tell you what my best sport was, but our guest here might make fun of me, so I'm going to move on. It is exciting, though, to see these SAGU athletes qualify for this year's NCC
real athletes, yeah.
Indoor Championship. A big part of Faith in Sports show will be getting to know our coaches and athletes, and tonight we get to introduce you to the head coach of our men's basketball team. His name is Delton Deal. Coach Deal, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Good to have you.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, you're impressed so far, right?
Yeah, it's been awesome. You guys are hilarious.
with all the talent in the room. How do you feel with all this talent?
I feel like I need to get some ribbons. I need to find a way and go out there. Anybody running a 5K or something around here, I need to go find me one.
Well, Coach, usually Carnell will want to ask if he can play on the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it. But he has no eligibility left.
No.
Well, he's got the right size.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm just about the right size that I can sneak underneath, these big guys.
We've been looking for some of those.
Yeah.
His talents are what we called way back water boy.
Boy, you can never be too hydrated.
I'm telling you, hey, quality H2O.
But
I'll bring it.
don't get him started about how that he started a radio broadcast for basketball, right? When you were here, a student here. Oh,
man.
please don't get him started with that.
Hey, there was SAGU Sports Network was me back in the day.
Yeah.
I really, and back in the gym, the old Claxton, man, I had a little setup over there, and we on KDFW.
Oh wow, you need to bring that back.
We had a lot of fun doing that. Yeah.
John Cookman, move over.
Move over. I told John
You
that.
can do the TV, you can do the radio.
I'm telling you.
Inside.
I have a face for radio, though. That's for sure.
Yes, we do. Well, Coach, tell us about your journey to get SAGU, or to come to SAGU as our coach for men's basketball.
Sure. I've been pretty blessed in my career to kind of have the Lord really open up doors in unique ways. So just from me starting coaching in high school when I was really young, and then moving on to Nebraska where I coached up there is a crazy story too. But to get here, I think it's one that, for the ages, one that you can't really make up. I couldn't make it up myself. So I've been at York College for 8 years and had been successful there and taken a program that hadn't been, they only had one winning season in their history as a 4-year school. And we had been very successful towards the end of my career. And I was getting to that point where you start getting a little bit antsy sometimes whenever you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, but you start feeling, internally like I'm supposed to, I feel like I can do more. I can do something else. Let's try to do something. And I start getting real active and start trying to look for jobs, and I'm doing all these things and I'm hitting roadblocks and it's not making sense to me. I had won a National Coach of the Year award, and I had, been to the Elite Eight and done these things. And I'm like, man, you start to get a little prideful and you're looking and you're like, man, I'm good. How are these other guys getting jobs and I'm not? And I'll never forget, I was standing in front of my house one day and I was talking to one of my friends. And we're talking on the phone about the situation because my assistant coach at the time was leaving, who was really close to me. And then Coach Epps, who ended up coming here with me, we were really close. We're all in this little jumble of what's going to happen. So I'm sitting there in front of my house and I'm on the phone. I'm walking up and down the sidewalk. I pace a lot when I talk, so I'm never going to forget this. But I'm walking and, I'm like, you know what, Lord, I'm going about this the wrong way. I know I'm supposed to be doing here. I got kids here that I'm pouring into. I got people that I'm changing, at least trying to change their life and doing as best I can with them. And I'm like, I need to get back to what I'm doing. So I hang up the phone and I start recruiting again because I had kind of stopped because I was, in my own head. And I'm like, man, let me go pour into these kids' lives. And no joke later, this is 2 days later, I get a call from actually a buddy of mine that coaches at Dallas Baptist. We're real close. And me and Coach Boswick we're also friends at the time. We're very close too. So he had just left on Wednesday night. I think he had told Coach Godding that he was leaving, and they had called me Thursday morning. It's like 7 a.m. They're like, "Hey, did you hear that Sagu's about to come open?" And he's like, "You're AG, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I grew up, in AG Church. I went to fire our ministry school in Brownsville during the revival down there. So I was like, yeah, that, and I'm from DFW, so I grew up here. I went to school at a private school here in Fort Worth. I coached at Bethesda Christian over in Fort Worth. So I'm like, yeah, back home. So I just send Coach Gotti an email. I'm finally at a point where I'm like, I'm good with whatever. But I sent him an email and I said, hey, I might be interested in this job. This is who I am. And he calls me like 30 seconds later, or maybe like 5 minutes later. I don't know. He texted me or called me and was like, hey, do you have a second? And I pick up the phone and I'm like, man, he's like, you're never going to believe this, but I'm in the car right now. And he said, I'm on my way to York, Nebraska. And I was like, no way. So I live in York, Nebraska. If you don't know anything about York, Nebraska, there's 8,000 people. You don't go there on purpose. It's not a place you go to. It's a place you drive through. Like, people have seen it. It's on Highway 80 that goes coast to coast. Very popular place, but you don't go there on purpose. So I'm calling him, and his wife is from McCool, which is pretty much 100, there's maybe 300 people in the town across the street. So same town, and he's on his way there in the car. And so, I'm like, man, this is pretty incredible. So he shows up that night. Funny thing, I'm coming down to Dallas the next morning on vacation with my wife. We're going to Mexico on vacation. Me and my wife are bringing our kids down here. So he's like, let's meet 6 a.m. We go to this place called Chances Are. We have breakfast. We talk for probably 2 hours. We really, it gels well. I'm driving home. I'm driving here. And he's like, can you come through on Monday? I'm like, we leave on Tuesday. We cram it all in here. I come on a visit. It all seems like it's good. And then I'm sitting on a beach on Wednesday and get an email pretty much or saying, we'd like to offer you the job. And, at that point, I knew that, see, you surrendered. God's pretty much saying to me, you surrendered. And now look what's happened. And there was a door I had for you this whole time that you didn't see because you were trying to do it on your own. So, yeah.
It's amazing when we look back and see how God orchestrates so much of who we are if we'll allow Him. Well, let's talk a little bit about last season. Last season was very successful. You finished 24-9 and winning the 2022 Sooner Athletic Conference Tournament Championship. After having time to kind of look back, what are some of the highlights for you?
Yeah, it was a very different season. So we had a bunch of COVID seniors. So this is the first time ever in the history of sports that this has happened for anybody.
So maybe 5-year eligibility?
Guys, 5th year, some 6th year. Yeah. I mean, Noah Bowling, who's on our team now, is in his 5th year junior. Wow. So I think he's only a junior, but he's still in his 5th year. So, with this extra year that had been handed to people, it was a little bit unique. It was different. And, they wanted to play. I think whenever your mind has kind of switched off, like you think you're going to be done, and then all of a sudden you're like, you mean I can come back? And now you're going to bring it back. The daily grind of everything that you're doing isn't always the easiest to get yourself to do, but they wanted to be there. So the season was different because our practices were a little bit difficult, and sometimes they wanted to be there, sometimes they didn't. But when we got to the game, they wanted to play because they're very good at, very talented team. A lot of guys that have been with us for a long time, done a lot of winning, knew what it took. But we had a couple major injuries. We had some crazy stuff happen through the year. It was a real roller coaster. But then we got to the conference tournament, and the guys really did a good job of saying, okay, this is why we came back. Let's get together. And, we played with a lot of joy, which I talk about all the time, but we played with a lot of joy and found a way to be successful and get back to Kansas City.
So real quick, what does that look like for you when you say play with joy?
Joy. Well, what I say all the time to my team is I don't believe God determines who wins and loses games, but I do believe that He can make you the best version of, or help you be the best version of yourself. And if you are performing as the best version of yourself, you're going to be difficult to beat. So when I say joy, what it looks like is I feel like if you're performing free of mind and you're performing freely, then there is a sense of joy that comes about it, even in the struggle. So the game may not go right, you're still working really well together. That things may not be perfect, but our whole we're staying together as a group. And if I see the countenance and carrying yourself that way and you're walking through it that way, then I'm pretty much happy, because it's like whatever the result happens at that point, it is what it is, because I know that we are walking in what we want to be, which is, I want my team to reflect my life.
What a great philosophy.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, there's some challenges you faced last season, right? Like you just mentioned. What did you take away from that?
for me is just, it's kind of funny because every single time I'm at a place for, a certain amount of time, it feels like the same things kind of creep back in. And the devil knows exactly what he's doing when he wants to discourage you and things like that. So as I'm going through the season, I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, these guys, they don't, and I'm like, we could win the national championship. We could do this. Why aren't they, going hard and doing these things? And, what I learned from it is pretty much the Lord was like, hey, why don't you sit back and why don't you love on these people? Same thing I just told you when I was with the job situation. Mm-hmm. Why don't you love on these kids? Maybe there's things that they're going through. Maybe they're in a difficult point of their life as well. And as soon as I kind of let that go once again, it's funny, everything starts to build up again. And so it's just, trying to walk in what it is God has for you constantly throughout the whole time and not let it based on results or what you think is going to happen or things like that.
Wow. Yeah. So recruiting, we talked with Coach Hank last week about this, and it's always difficult getting the right players in, right? Because it's, your philosophy trying to get them in. Mm-hmm. But especially in a Christian university, it brings a little different dynamic, right? So what do you look for in athletes that makes them a good SAGU fit?
Well, I think there's two things. One of them is I think that you have to know who you are as a coach. I think you have to know your coaching style. I think you have to know what works for you. I don't think there's one way that's the best way to coach. I think some people stand up. Coach Goding has an analogy where you stand in the front of the boat. Some people hit the drum and expect you to row to the beat of the drum that he's hitting. I'm more like I want to jump in the boat and I'm going to grab an oar and we're going to sit by each other and we're going to row together, which that's great. And there's the other way is great too. Both ways are great, but you have to know what works for you. So as I'm looking here at SAGU, I want people that, first of all, relationship, because that's who I am. So relationship first. But second, being open, willing, and wanting to grow as a person off the court more than just what happens on the court. Mm-hmm. So, I'm very open-ended with when I recruit. So it'll be like, tell me about your faith. Tell me what your relationship is with the Lord. And I want to make them talk a little bit. I don't like to come out and say, this is who we are. We do this, 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 this. You want to come? I don't think that that's effective in getting people that will be successful here. So if I can have the conversation with you before you come and you know exactly what we're into and I know that you are growing and who you want to be, not everybody's on different levels of where they are, but I know that this is something that you're striving for and that you want to be better at. Then when you get here, you are enhanced by the surroundings and you are going to grow based on who we are here and not get here and want to fight everything that's happening because obviously this is different. So it's going to be a different environment than a lot of places that kids have been in their school life.
Yeah. So talked about your philosophy a little bit, joy. Mm-hmm. Can you expound a little bit more on that?
Yeah. So joy is a big part of it. Like I said a second ago too, I'm very, very, very relationship driven. So I'm a relational coach. I want to, I want to walk into practice, be able to, kind of what we're doing here at the beginning of this, right? I want to make some jokes. I want to say something funny. I want us to have a good time. We're stretching. We're all laughing. And then it's time to play and we're going to do things what we're supposed to do. And the second it's over, we're able to go right back to where we are. So some people like the conflict. Some people want to walk in and have conflict and things like that. That's not really who I am. I kind of want us just to all grow as one. So my philosophy really is, let me grow this relationship with you. Let us get to a level where we can look at each other and truly trust who we are. And then we're going to go get after it and we're going to play as hard as we can. We're going to play with joy. We're going to practice with joy. That doesn't mean you're not going to, it doesn't mean, you're going to get mad. Mm-hmm. We still have referees in our game. So it's going to happen. So things happen. But I'm just saying, we can walk in a overall sense of joy and hopefully push forward and make us successful.
It's a good thing I didn't tell him I used to be a
referee.
Oh, no.
But I was football.
Well, that's okay.
I did one game as a basketball official. Yeah. And the noise. I mean, football, you don't really hear the stands. You hear the coaches.
Yeah.
But, man, in basketball, you hear everything. I'm like, I don't need this
Isaiah
in my life. I'm out of here.
I have never had it. I was a church league softball ref one time. And I had enough.
Yeah. I did a little umpiring.
Yeah, I'm like, no.
It's not the most fun.
That's not my calling right there. So let's talk about this a little bit more, dig into this. There's a difference being a Christian, right? Mm-hmm. And a coach, mm-hmm. right? But what does it mean to be a Christian who is a coach? So, sometimes we look at those differently.
For sure. Well, I feel like I'm in a little bit of a unique situation. I kind of knew in high school that I wanted to coach. Mm-hmm. Funny story, our women's basketball coach here, Michael Sons, was my high school coach, my senior year of high school. So we were very close, and my relationship with him kind of grew what I wanted to do. So I had chances to play out of high school, but I just knew I was, we were in the middle of a revival at my church. I was really on fire for God, and I knew this is what I wanted to do. So when I came out, I went to ministry school first, and then I came back and I started assisted him, and I got coaching early. But so for me, this has been a ministry thing from the very beginning. So from the second I've ever got into this, I tried to see it outside of, just the winning and the losing or the game, but just really impacting who we are. And I think, as a Christian in coaching, I think that should be the focal point of where you're doing, because our impact on these kids can even be more than most anybody that there is, because the sport is what they love. School and the other things is what they have to do. Sport is what they're doing out of choice. So my relationship with them can take them to a deeper level. And I'm just hoping that I can pour into them and, show God's love through that.
Awesome. That's great. So let's talk about a little bit, just real quickly, about the team this year.
Yeah.
Tell us your gut.
Yeah.
What's going to happen this year?
I like where we're at. I like where we're at right now. I like where we're going. So it's been a very new team. So one other thing with the COVID thing we had just talked about, all of those seniors, we kind of had two classes that backed into one. So we lost a vast majority of the team in 1 year, which doesn't happen. That usually you have it layered where you lose a couple in here. So we only had a couple returners this year that had really ever played. So we have a lot of young players, and then we have some guys that even aren't young but have not played in the role they're in or where they are for very long. So they're figuring it out. And we're 10-6 right now. We're playing well. We're doing good things. I think that I'm seeing them grow daily, which is really where we want to get, so that each, the best thing is you want to be playing your best at the very end of the season.
Yeah.
And I think we've done a good job getting to that point most of the time that I've been here. And I think that we're on that same trajectory now, and hopefully we'll just keep playing as better as we go.
Excellent.
So one last question, and then we're going to take a word from our sponsor, and then we're going to do a little trivia for you here. But you kind of mentioned this, but anything at the top of your head on things this season that where you're at versus last season that you've really got to improve on?
The biggest thing is just, I think confidence is a big part of it, but I really think it's just understanding where you are now, what your role is now, and what that looks like. And, it's funny because when you're a peripheral player or you're a guy that hasn't had the ball in their hand late in the game or things like that, you just know I'm going to play as hard as I can and get us to this end point. And then, we're going to get it, it's going to happen because these guys are going to take us home. Well, now it's on your shoulders a little bit. But just because you have more pressure on your shoulder shouldn't change who you are. So if we can get to that point to where they're still, playing the same, because we play plenty good enough to beat anybody we've played. It's just when you get to the end, you have to continue to believe that that's who you are, and don't be shaken by there being a little more adversity or being a little tougher. And I think we're starting to get there. I think we're turning that corner, and once we get there, sky's the limit.
That's cool. So we want to talk a little bit about our sponsors. So our producer JB, take it away.
Thanks, Rick. Let me get this set up here. Texans love doing business with fellow Texans, am I right? VCR Now takes its Texas roots as seriously as its many partnerships with schools and around the state. It's also why VCR Now is so proud to promote their brand on this broadcast. Driven by producing quality LED video boards, state-of-the-art audio and visual production systems at affordable prices, VCR Now makes sure to listen to your needs as an athletic department before recommending the best next steps. Building great products is their business, but it's their focus on building meaningful, long-term partnerships with their schools that sets them apart. From our 24/7, 365 help desk, the training lab in their hometown of Red Oak, and a sports marketing business plan that puts money back in the hands of the athletic departments we support, VCR Now is built to last. VCR Now has provided SAGU with a state-of-the-art LED scoreboard in our basketball and volleyball arena, so feel free to come take a look. For more information, visit VCRNow.com. Back to you, Rick and James.
All right, JB, thank you so much. All right, Coach, we have tried to prepare you a little bit mentally. Talking about adversity.
Okay.
We're going to put you on the spot here.
All right.
I see sweat beats
I'm
forming.
getting a little nervous.
Yeah. All right. Now, these are all trivia questions, but they're basketball related.
Basketball related.
All right.
I'll try my best.
All right, here we go. What team won the very first NBA game? I'm going to give you game. I'm going to give you four teams.
Okay.
All right. Chicago Stags,
Okay.
New York Knicks, Philadelphia Warriors, or Toronto Huskies. Which one of those won the very first
game ever? I'm going to say the
NBA?
Philadelphia Warriors.
Very good question, but you're wrong.
I tried.
He did try. That was one of them. No, it was the New York Knicks. They
York
actually
Knicks.
defeated the Toronto Huskies 68-66.
They're still looking for some of those wins now.
Yes, they are.
Bring back some of those players.
That was November the 1st of 1946.
Wow.
And little known fact is that any fan taller than their center, George Nostrand, got in the game for free. And I'll give you a bonus if you could just guess how tall was George Nostrand.
Back then?
Yes.
6'3"?
6'1".
6'8".
6'8".
Wow.
He was 6'8". I looked that up. But I didn't know that.
We knew that wasn't at the top of your head.
I just thought you knew that. That's crazy.
Okay, here we go.
6'8".
Next question. What NBA player scored 100 points on March the 2nd, 1962?
Allegedly, Wilt Chamberlain.
Boom. That is correct. March
Now,
2nd.
there's no video evidence or anything, but that's what they
1962.
say happened.
Yeah.
So.
Philadelphia Warriors scored 100 points. They won the game 169 to 147 of the Knicks. He shot 36 to 63 from the field and 28 of 32 from the free throw line. He also snagged 25.
Did.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Got that one. Now, next. Who? Oh, I'm going to let you call this one, Rick. Go ahead, man.
Who was the first player in NBA history to be elected league MVP by unanimous vote? You've got Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, or Stephen Curry.
Steph Curry.
In 2016, after a record-breaking season in which he led the Warriors to an NBA record 73 wins, set an individual record of 402 three-point field goals, smashing his own previous league record of 286 the same year. Golden State Warriors guard, it's Stephen, right? Stephen. Thank you. Curry became the NBA's first unanimous most valuable player. Man, that's
I love Steph Curry.
yes,
Great guy.
yes,
Awesome
that's
guy.
that's
Yeah.
good. All right, Coach. Who was the youngest player to score 10,000 points in the NBA? Wilt Chamberlain, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, or LeBron James?
I'm going to say LeBron James.
At 23 years and 59 days, LeBron James became the youngest
Very
player to
good.
score 10,000 points.
You got to think
But
about
that's about to
going.
get broken,
You got to
though.
think about going to the casino on this. Coach,
It's about
You're
to get
doing so
broken
good.
if it hasn't already.
I actually,
good.
yeah, and
by Dallas Maverick, great.
Yeah.
for some reason I thought it was Kobe, but nope,
Nah.
it's LeBron.
Okay. All right. Next question. Who is the all-time leading scorer in men's college basketball?
College?
College.
So you got 4 to choose from.
Got 4 to choose from. Steph Curry, Pete Maravich, Pistol Pete, Freeman Williams, or Larry Bird.
I'm going to say Pistol Pete. They didn't let freshmen play. I don't know if they counted his stats, but I think it's Pistol Pete.
You are so right. It was Pistol Pete Maravich, guard from LSU. Oh, not only.
Average 44 a game or something like
God,
that.
dude,
Whatever.
he was amazing. I just watched something on him the other day. Not only owns the 3 highest single-season averages in Division I history, but also the highest career total. And he scored 3,667 points, more than 400 over the next closest player. Yeah. Wow.
Pretty incredible.
So, Coach, who is the youngest player in NBA history to record 3 triple-doubles? Is it Luka Doncic, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, or Magic Johnson?
The youngest player. I'm going to say Luka because that's my favorite player. So I'm gonna say
On
Luka.
February 6, 2019, at the age of 19, Dallas Maverick Luka Doncic recorded his 3rd triple-double with 19 points, 10 rebounds, 11 assists in a 99-93 win over the Charlotte Hornets. Doncic has 4 of the 5 triple-doubles recorded by teenagers in the NBA history.
Wow.
Pretty good.
I mean, that's and then recently, what was the history making?
He had 60, 20, and 10.
Wow.
61 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists. First player ever.
I've always wanted to be at some game where the
Yeah.
history was made, and that would have been a great one
That's
too.
my team. I talk about them a lot.
Yeah.
They get annoyed with me, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. Well, Coach, you got all but one right.
Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty
Yes,
good.
yes.
Yeah.
So,
About 1946
so
trivia.
James Carnell, could you make sure that you treat him to coffee at some point at
Hey.
Einstein's? I mean, that's the least you can do for him. You know.
I will do better than that.
Yeah.
I think I have something right here.
Wow.
Oh, man, on the spot?
Oh,
Look at
Wow.
Boom.
You guys don't know, but I drink a lot of Starbucks.
gift card
There
right
we
there,
go.
Coach.
There we
just
go.
for you. All right. Well, hey, Faith in Sports is a broadcast property of SAGU. It's a Christian university located in Waxahachie, Texas, and has over 70 undergraduate and graduate degrees, including on-campus and online sports. Faith in Sports is sponsored by VCRNow.com. Visit sagu.edu for more information. Also, stay up to date with all things Sagu Athletics at sagulions.com.